Hello and welcome, lovelies, to a special episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature with your host, Wallace Ryan, of course.
Boo, 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 boo.
And if you don't know already, I'm Luna.
Luna, the co-host, yay!
This is our special Valentine's edition episode.
Yeah. A whole lot of loving for comics.
Whole lot of love.
A whole lot of loving, I tell you. So we're going to show some of the great couples, I guess, in comics. Because there have been some great ones, right?
Wonder if there's any that you guys haven't heard of before.
Well, hopefully good. Now, I also have two ties in this list, but just had to throw in certain ones, so... Mm-hmm. And it was just like, couldn't decide which of certain ones that I love more, but I love them all anyway. So, shall we start out?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we haven't been, we were off for about a week, actually, because we had that terrible flu that was going around. Mm-hmm. But we're back at it. And check out, of course, the Book of the Day shorts that Luna is producing with me in it. Yeah.
And, of course, check out my new channel,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It's on Instagram and YouTube.
And Lupo, of course, the comics loving cat, is on the is in the Book of the Day.
Yes, he is.
He gives his approval to every. I think he likes everything, right?
He loves to be included.
I think we just have good taste in comics, him and I, right? And he's the only of the three cats we have. He's the only one who can be trusted in the library. Yeah. Because all the rest will wreck and or destroy.
Older. He's older than
and
you.
He's older. Yeah, that's true too. Okay. Now, for our number 10, it's a tie between Swamp Thing and the love of his life, Abby. Now, Abby Arcane. Now, in this one, she's hooked up with this other guy, Matt. But
so it's like a Beauty and the Beast situation.
Yeah. No, she dumps this guy, Matt.
Gaston.
She dumps Matt in the end and ends up going out with the Swamp Thing, which is quite controversial at the time, a plant human interaction, right?
Leave it to me to make a Disney reference.
But so that's one of the number 10. You can just lay that on the table over there. But it's tied with Mr. Miracle and Barda. When I was a kid, and you can imagine why. When I was a kid, we all loved Big Barda, was her name. There she is.
Folding the pages with a Viewmaster.
You like that, hey?
Yes.
But Big Barda, and here she is on the back. We loved her because she was, the comic is supposed to be about Machine Man, but she's the strongest one of them all, right? She's
time for your upgrade, Wallace.
She's like a Superman, right? But we loved her because she was hell on wheels, right? She reminds me of my mom, right? But yeah, Big Barda and Scott, or Mr. Miracle. There's Mr. Miracle on the cover. Next up is, of course, one of the classic love affairs is between Superman and Lois Lane. Yay! Obviously had to throw in Superman and Lois Lane. Now this is a story, one of my favorite stories about them. This is one called Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow by Alan Moore, who did Watchmen and everything else, and Kurt Swan and George Perez. And it's one where this guy comes to interview Lois, obviously, and talking about the Superman and everything. It's just a great story, but to me I picked it just because it symbolizes Superman. Oh, there's I love that.
Oh yeah.
That was the end of it there. But it was one of the classic Superman stories to me. Right? It brings in all the people from his past, everything like that. It's an amazing little comic. I think Alan Moore did do some good other good things besides Swamp Thing and Watchmen and some of the other stuff. Actually, we have in this thing now. Some books I have two of the same title, but it's because there's two big power couples out of this one comic.
Okay.
Now I tried to mix it up, not give too many DC and too many Marvel. So I think so far we just gotta have DC. So we're gonna hit our first Marvel one now, and it is The Thing and Alicia Masters. The Thing, of course, there's The Thing, and his girlfriend Alicia Masters. Alicia is a blind sculptress who who Ben had fallen in love with, the thing, and but he always doubted. Oh, she doesn't love me because I'm just a big brute of a thing, and
another Beauty and the Beast.
yeah, oh yeah, a real Beauty and the Beast, and he's always thinking, oh, she don't want anything to do with me, and all this type of thing. When when in fact the kid's crazy about him. So that was something about the thing, and Alicia Masters is just like, now this is definitely a one of the power couples. All right.
You gonna be okay?
Yeah, yeah. As you can tell, I still have a touch of that flu.
Okay.
Now, next one, of course, is Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Boom, 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 boom. Cyclops and I mean, right from the start. Oh, no, right from the start here. He was not when Jean Grey shows up, but they're all out looking out.
Show the people.
Looking out the window, and they're all panting and all that. But Scott is walking away like these guys are childish type of thing, right? When in fact he's in love with her, and the other way around. And he she somehow is attracted to Cyclops. God only knows why. It's a bit of a wiener in some ways in the earlier editions, but anyway, they become one of the quintessential Marvel couples, especially from the 1960s, right from the start, right? They were always at it. Da-da-da-da, yay! Now,
which book you have first now?
Next one is, and this is, we were watching the TV show, The Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Ooh.
Or Wanda, as some are likely to know her. And this one, as a matter of fact, I picked out this one in particular because this has the wedding of Wanda and Vision.
Oh, that's so cute. Show them the photos.
There we go. So they'd been in love for a while, and they finally tied the knot at the end of this. This was a story arc called The Celestial Madonna, which wasn't Wanda or anyone else. It was Mantis, and Mantis in the comic is so much more of a character than in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Oh no, she's kind of lame and silly in that. In this, I mean, she was a martial arts magic. She was a mystic, and she basically becomes like, almost one with the universe type of thing, right? So, but still, you get the wedding of Wanda and Vision in this. Robot and Witch. Now, isn't that a ahead of its time,
Can you
right?
cover your mouth when you
Oh,
cough,
sorry,
please?
I didn't mean to be. This one, and that, of course, this is. Where are they in this? Foxglove and. Oh God, they're in here somewhere, aren't they? That's why we had it here, didn't we? Well, Foxglove. This is another tie now. Was between Foxglove and Hazel from The Death, High Cost of Living, and another Alan Moore. V for Vendetta between V and Evey Hammond. Even though in the movie they show it almost as a bit of a love affair or whatever, but it becomes much deeper than that. It's almost like a political, a semi-political romance attachment, right? And very strange, and it's funny because it's one of my favorite of Alan Moore's, but it's a very period piece. It was just like this. For anyone who grew up, especially in Britain during the 80s, would love this book. And even in the 80s when it because so much of it came out in Britain, but then it was cancelled or delayed, whatever, and DC picked it up and they put out the same issues again. They got Alan Moore and David Lloyd to finish it off. I mean, some of who I met David Lloyd at a convention. He did a V sketch for me.
The artwork is so lifelike, but so simple.
It is, isn't it?
Like stripped down to the bare.
When I first seen it too, it really had the feeling of this felt like British comics for some reason, right? It was the coloring, the just look of it just seemed so. There's just something so British about it, right?
Hmm.
But it was, and I know a lot of people, they didn't like the ending because it's sort of similar to the movie in that way. The movie actually, it's not the same thing, but the movie is possibly the one of the best Alan Moore adaptations. It was very well done. But in that one, Evey and V, if not a love affair, then there's, I don't know, hard to say, right? But an amazing couple, right?
Of course, who can forget Harley Quinn and the Joker's most infamous abusive relationship ever?
Funny enough, I didn't include them in this, right? But I did use Batman and...
We could use Ivy and Harley.
Well, we could. Well, too late. We'll throw them in the honorable mentions. How about that? Now, this I picked up. This is Batman Year One, possibly one of the greatest Batman stories of them all. Frank Miller, who wrote... And he drew sometimes, but this one was drawn by this guy, Mazzucchelli. They did a 4-issue series, basically reprising the origin of Batman. And it changed the whole thing, because instead of having the police force as, you know, like in the TV series, you know, Sergeant O'Hara and everyone's real pals with Batman. Here, they're after the Batman. The police forces themselves are corrupt. The mayor is corrupt, the whole thing. The city's just a cesspool, right? So they change. This is what changes everything about Batman. This would have been about 86, was it, or 80? Was it before or after? I think it was after The Dark Knight Returns. But I mean, the drawing is absolutely beautiful. Very, very cinematic. And in this one, this is where he first meets Catwoman. Harry doesn't know who she is, but he's in disguise and she's not in her cat costume there.
Is it Halle Berry?
No, oh, don't say Halle Berry and Catwoman in the same.
I'm kidding.
But she comes back later on in this as Catwoman, and it's I mean, it's a great Batman story. It's one of the best. And of course, Selina Kyle, or Catwoman, and Batman always had something going on. And as a matter of fact, they were supposed to have been married there a few years ago in this series. And
Catwoman Barbie was my favorite Barbie.
yeah. Oh God! Actually, the Wonder Woman Barbie, now that was fearsome. I gotta say, from the first movie, not bad at all. Right? But yeah, I seen the Catwoman, the Halle Berry one, and it was just like, oh my God, this is. It was
without the mask, it's pretty cool though.
Yeah. It was like that Punisher movie that they did, and they didn't even give him the T-shirt with the skull on it, like the very first one that was done back in the 80s. It was terrible. It was just like, well, you could have just bought him a T-shirt, or even painted one, right? But no. So Batman Catwoman number 3, and this is a bit of a surprise actually for a lot of people. My number 3 choice of comics couples is
Woodstock and Snoopy?
No, Charlie Brown. Close. Charlie Brown and Peppermint Patty. Well, actually, and this one sort of shows you the extent of the relationship. She's always coming on to him, and he just don't get it. He just don't get it, right? Like, I'm a girl, so I hate talking to you, Chuck. You never understand anything, and she leaves, right? Because she's obviously, and this happens all the time. She got the hots for Charlie Brown, right? And but strange enough, they're always he always talks about the red-headed little girl, but that ain't never gonna happen. We all know that, right? And meanwhile, here's Peppermint Patty comes along and pours her heart out to him, old Chuck and all that, and he just don't get it, right? But it's the type of thing you feel that later on in life that she, there's another one again, her and Chuck, right? So it became a bit of a theme, I thought, right? And I mean, like I say, there are other ones, but they're all unrequited or love not wanted, like between, say, Linus and Sally. He's running away from her, and screaming and all that, and Lucy and Schroeder, right? Schroeder will never ever give in to it. It's kind of like Kermit and Miss Piggy, right?
Yeah.
So, but But yeah, I always had a soft spot in my heart for poor old Peppermint Patty, right? Just never. She tried so hard, and and what did Chuck give her back? Nothing. Okay, so that's that. Now my number 2 is another Marvel Comics power couple, and this one, and don't watch the movies because most of them are terrible, is from the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards and Sue Storm. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Let's find a picture of both of them together here. There's Reed getting zapped. Come on. Anyway, they're married, of course. And during the 60s, I mean, when Reed and... Oh, there's Alicia from earlier.
I guess another couple that comes to mind, too, would be from Saga.
Oh, yeah, actually, there's... Okay, we'll throw that into the honorable mentions. I forgot about that. Truly, actually, that's it. Okay, there. That's in the honorable mentions. If not, geez, I'd even maybe tie it for... God, maybe Batman and Catwoman... or maybe up with Scott Summers and all that in the higher thing. But either that or an honorable mention. But yes, I totally forgot that one.
We do have those books.
We do have those books. Thank you for that, actually. Oh, here we got Sue and Reed there. Now, of course, the big thing I can remember from the 60s was when they had their marriage, and it was a whole special issue, and just about every character in the Marvel Universe showed up for their wedding, right? And I like the old stuff. But it was, but yeah, there was just something about the two of them. It was just like, I mean, he was a typical brainiac and all that, and she was the freewheeling fashion plate. I can even remember stuff like having, fashion shoots and stuff like that. So she was all the rage she was. But I always remember that growing up, Reed Richards and Sue Storm, power couple, but with no interest in power, right? They were just Reed and Sue, right?
Oh, like us.
Yeah, exactly. Like us. And now the number 1 couple, the love couple of comics, for me, this comes from when I was a kid in the 1970s, was, and they were like the hip couple at that time, was Green Arrow and oh there she is, and Black Canary. And have a look there. This is from the classic Neil Adams series. She was the story was there. Oh, there's a good shot of her there. And I love this picture there. Anyway, Green Arrow, for decades, he was kind of like a boring, half-baked Batman type of clone type of thing, and he was never really exciting. But in the late 70s, this guy Neil Adams, who draws this series, he took Green Arrow and he turned him more into a real Robin Hood type of figure. He became sort of a real left-wing type of guy, fighting the man and pollution and all that. And he got long hair and the beard and all that. He became like DC's hip character, right? And of course, we as kids, we were like, now Green Lantern is finally cool, right? After decades. And he hooks up with Black Canary. She comes from Earth 2, another Earth from 30 years. She ends up, and this is in the Justice League, this happens, leading up to this series, and they end up hooking up and all that. And there was something always cool about the two of them, because he was the angry young superstar hero at the time, and this series was just a groundbreaking series. And she was she was his at times reluctant girlfriend, but she didn't take shit from him either, right? Like there was a lot of times when he'd flip out and she'd basically tell him that he's walking home tonight or whatever, right? So I like that about Black Canary. She was a cool character, but it was a great series too. But there was just something about Green Arrow. He was just like the coolest hero to us. He was the guy in the ghetto. I mean, and it was all having to do with civil rights issues, stuff like that. And there he is with Black Canary again.
Oh, show that one.
And this is a classic series. A lot of this, especially this one, was reproduced from the pencils, I think. And but this is one of my favorite stories of Green Arrow, right? He was a real sort of people's avenger type of guy, and Green Lantern, who he's paired with, was sort of a real conservative type of guy. So it was a great pairing of the two, one really liberal, one really conservative, and somehow they managed to get together. And this one is a great addition, because this also includes the very, very rarely reprinted The Powerless Power Ring. It's where Green Lantern is out in the woods and all that, and he ends up starting to go crazy with hallucinations and all that, and he realizes in the end it's because he'd been eating mushrooms or something like that, right? It's definitely a drug it's definitely a drug related episode, right? But yeah, Green Arrow, Black Canary, they were the cool couple back then. And since then I can't remember any other couple that's been quite as cool. You know, they had it all, right? And everyone wanted to, all of us guys wanted to be Green Arrow, and of course we all wanted to date Black Canary, but that ain't never gonna happen, right? Now we do have some honorable mentions.
Still?
Yep, Johnny Storm, this is from Fantastic Four, the Human Torch, and his girlfriend at the time in the 60s, Crystal. She ended up marrying someone else. But during the 60s, in the heyday of the Fantastic Four, Crystal she was cool too, right? I always loved that character. Spider-Man and Mary Jane, I know a lot of people will be upset that wasn't up in the top 10. Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, same thing again. Daredevil and Elektra. Oh, Mr. Freeze and Nora. Thinking of that even more from the cartoon than anything else. The Heart of Ice episode. Oh, get you there every time. And last but not least, the Kingpin and Vanessa. She turned the Kingpin in his early days and made him good again, but then of course, you know, the criminals couldn't have that and had to get involved and get the Kingpin back in the rackets again. But that's the whole lot of love in here from the Library of Graphic Literature, eh?
Whole lot of love.
Whole lot of love. So we hope everyone has a grand St. Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, we're going to be having a big St. Valentine's Day snowstorm. It's barreling down on us as we speak. Apparently 35 centimeters of snow, up to 50. So
I got 65.
Yeah, so there's several feet of snow rumbling our way. But hopefully we will be back next week. God only knows the title. Actually, we have a few shows written up and planned. We found our plan book there, and we've got
Check out my channel.
I check out our channel, and hopefully as soon as I've been having computer problems, but as soon as they're fixed, Dennis and I will be back. Thursday Comix. It's just on a temporary vacation while we do that. Anyone have spare computers out there, feel free to send them to us.
Nice try.
Nice try. That being said,
don't get broken-hearted.
Yes, and have a great Valentine's Day. Thanks for having us over. Bye.